Hey everyone, what's happening? Lex back today for the next installment of Behind Brawl Stars, where YouTubers talk with Brawl Stars and Supercell directly to give you some answers and insight in some of the biggest topics that you face every day in Brawl Stars. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about maps. Everything from like rating maps, in-game map making features, new environments. Where did your favorite map go? Where is Sneaky Fields? Where is Feast or Famine? We're going to get to the bottom of all these questions and much more. And if you like this thing, be sure to subscribe because we're going to be interviewing Supercell again next week, and we're going to be talking about new brawlers. So that is going to be really exciting, as well as this is part of a series. And if you want to check the other videos in the series on a very wide range of topics, be sure to check the links. I'll link that playlist in the description down below. All right, without further ado, let's hop into it with Dani and Antti. Today, we have two very special guests with us. We all know our loving, adorable community manager, Dani. How are you doing, Dani?
I'm going great.
Doing great.
Please introduce the superstar here today.
Oh, yeah. The man, the grand master of maps, the overlord of all that is pixely in Brawl Stars. We have Antti. How are you doing, dude?
Right. So I'm a game designer. Been working on different games here at Supercell for about close to 9 years now, and for the past several I've been in the Brawl Stars team, and kind of my specialty has been the map design now.
Can I share some dirty secret that you are
please do.
That you are responsible for most of the puns we have in the game?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. I do work on a lot of the copy as well.
Guys, I appreciate you all taking the time to talk to us about something that probably gets overlooked somewhat in Brawl Stars because it's not like a super flashy thing sometimes, but it's probably one of the most important things that everybody encounters every single time that they open up Brawl Stars. So I did, however, throw out a bunch of questions on Twitter and on my community page on YouTube, asking you guys if you had any questions for Antti and Dani here, and you guys came back with a bunch. And we'll just start off with the very most asked question of all of them, and that is, why did you remove insert my favorite map here, and when will it be coming back?
All right, so I would say because that map sucks, but I can't really do that because it's an insert name here. I don't actually remember that particular map. Insert name here. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. So probably the most common one was Feast or Famine.
So Feast or Famine is one of the oldies, oldie but goodie, and I think it's gonna come back in one iteration or the other because it's I sort of like that myself, and it's got a lot of history going for it. It's an early beta map, and there have been a lot of other maps that have been going for the same kind of thing. Whether we'll see Feast of Famine in the original shape or not, I can't say for sure, and the same goes for all the other maps that have been removed in the game. So ideally, we want to keep the game fresh. We want to keep changing the map rotation. I think it's more about learning what are the fun features in different maps and trying to improve the overall selection that we have over time.
Nice. So you're saying that basically just because a map gets removed doesn't mean it's never coming back. It may or may not, and it may come back with changes, and that means 100% that Sneaky Fields is the best game in the world, best map in the world, yes. And it's coming back. Good to know. I appreciate that. Antti, very concise answer. Since we're on the topic of showdown maps, why is Forsaken Falls the only showdown map that does not have power cubes? I mean, was there a specific reason you guys did this, or was there some kind of goal you're going for?
That's a pretty happy accident, actually. Forsaken Falls kind of went in and out of favor, and we ended up going with it. But by that time, it had been a Lone Star map, had all the power cubes or the boxes removed, and they didn't actually make it back by accident. And as it turns out, it's actually a pretty fun map to play, and it showed us that Showdown can be fun without having any power cubes stored on the map.
Now, you mentioned Mortis's Mortuary, which is a really cool environment, and talking about environments specifically, how long do you think it takes on average to create a new environment?
Right. So I talked to Juha, the artist who is working on the backgrounds. Some of the early ones were really we wanted to get some new cool looking visual content out there, and they were quite a lot quicker, maybe about a month on average.
So with those environments, how do you choose which maps get assigned to which environments, which is actually a question by Danny.
Yeah, it's true. You didn't need to say that.
Can you answer it as well?
Well, I actually asked him earlier. It tends to be like the newest gets the new environment, so they look like more exciting and stuff, which kind of accidentally happened to Hot Zone, that all the maps that are new had the arcade environment, and now we removed the mode, so then we don't have any arcade map environments anymore.
Just for the players' enjoyment, it's more fun to look at different kinds of backgrounds, not just for any kind of functional reason. But actually, currently there are only 2 maps with the mine background in the game, so the newer backgrounds have gotten a lot more love. So hopefully we can find a nice balance where all the different cool backgrounds are represented.
Yeah, especially that new Egyptian background that's coming, right?
Yeah. How'd you learn about that?
Damn you, Antti. That's what he wants.
See, I thought I was going to get no answer. I thought I was going to have to make a joke about you guys' poker faces, but no, Antti just gives us everything.
He was being sarcastic, so.
I get this. I get this. So speaking of some of the newer maps that have been put into game, a question that we got over from OG says that it seems that a lot of the new maps have throwers in mind. Was this intentional, and are there any plans to add maps that have more open spaces to them?
Short answer is no. There was no secret plan to make throwers more powerful with map selection. This is actually a very important part of game balancing in Brawl Stars. We have to make sure that the different kinds of brawlers, different specialties and archetypes have a place to show their strengths in the game, and that's something that I monitor. We've done this kind of big change when I changed a lot of the heist and bounty maps to be more to be kind of friendlier toward shooters, to sharpshooters. We're quite ready and willing to make these kind of major changes as well, but in this case, no, there's no like a thrower bias, at least not one that we meant to do, and the data currently doesn't support that either. Throwers aren't that much more powerful than before.
So there, you guys heard it. They're deleting Tick from the game. That's exactly what I got out of all of that. I listened very well. Let's see. Now, you're talking about, of course, map design does have a heavy influence on the type of brawlers that are going to be viable on certain maps. And of course, in an ideal world, across the spectrum of all the maps in the game, there would be a good representation of all the different brawlers. However, whenever you're creating a new map, is there any tips that you could give someone who is maybe creating their first map and they eventually want to get it into game, which we're going to talk about how you can get your map into game as well, but is there any tips that you could give that person on making their first map, or some things to look for?
The number one thing that you should think about is standing out from the crowd. Of course, if you can playtest the map, for example, using Mortis's Brawlcraft, that's gonna help, because then you can at least try and make the gameplay as kind of polished as possible.
Now, speaking of map making in general, here's a feature that I know has been requested. I think would be amazing, but it's probably harder to implement than most people think. Have you considered making an in-game map making feature?
Yes, we've thought about that.
Period. Yep, that's it.
I'm really hoping if I just not talk here for a while that we'll get more information.
No.
Okay, plan's not working. Abort mission! Okay, so Danny himself has requested it. So
well, I can tell you this much. It's definitely something that's been talked about for quite a long while now. even before I heard any community requests for it, that it's been brought up by people in the team, and maybe the coolest thing about these competitions, we've seen the enthusiasm by the community to make maps, and also the level of quality that actually comes from the community as far as this kind of content goes, and enabling that to the entire player base would be awesome, and probably result in more obviously more maps and higher quality maps if people were able to then play the maps with their friends in game. So but all these things are doable, and hopefully we'll find some great way, a good way to do it.
Speaking of community engagement on some of this stuff, one of the questions that I got was, let me pull it up here. Have you considered making a rating systems on the maps? Like players could vote if they like or dislike a map. Now, granted, you can tell some of that, I'm sure, by just the data on how much a certain map is played, but of course that doesn't completely tell the full story, maybe.
Yeah, sure. We actually talked about this even before getting these questions. It would be really useful for just for evaluating maps in general, even the current ones currently in the rotation, to hear what players playing different brawlers, for example, and I would definitely see that as useful data.
What's the easiest way or the best way, I or whoever's watching this video could get one of the maps that they made into game? What's the easiest, best chance of them to be able to make that happen?
Pixel Crest. This video is sponsored by Pixel Crest.
Your best bet is probably through one of the competitions now. There's other places to get visibility for your maps, like the Brawl Maps subreddit. I go there from time to time, and if I happen to see something super interesting in there, pick something out of there and maybe use for a new game mode if I feel like it might be a good fit, and that this has happened before. And I of course give full credit to the original concept.
So you're talking about maps standing out from the crowd, which makes me think of dynamic maps. Now, currently, of course, we have Minecart Madness, which was the first and really only true full dynamic map that we have in game. Are there any plans for some other dynamic maps coming into the game?
Sure. I mean, right now, there's nothing in the works per se. We're focused on other gameplay features. Actually, we are prioritizing one major feature over these kind of unique or dynamic map elements, but they are also kind of maybe on the back burner a little bit, but they're coming definitely later, and there's one in particular that we're excited about.
Whoa. Leaked.
What? One big feature that they're working on right now. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think that's going to be. Anti's just lobbing up them softballs to me, man.
I will never invite this guy again.
So speaking of the dynamic map, so are there some was that the only real idea that you tried with the minecarts, or are there some other old ones that maybe you tried and just didn't make the cut?
There have been other kind of explorations into the poison clouds filling the playing area in Showdown with a different formation, or how would I put it, spreading out from central spots in different parts of the map, or going from left to right instead of just creeping in from the sides and so on. So that's been attempted, and nothing was quite as good in terms of gameplay as just the Showdown as we have it now. So that's maybe something to throw out there.
I remember trying the gas moving from the bottom to the top.
Right, yeah.
That was pretty interesting. One final question for you guys, and this is going to be the hardest question that you guys have faced all day. Danny, your favorite map in the game is what?
Oh, wow. I wasn't prepared for that.
Throwing you a
I
curveball.
will try to at least point down that my favorite showdown map, I think, is Skull Creek, and it's just because like it's such a different experience depending on where you spawn. But the others are 3v3 mode. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Oh, Snake Prairie.
Antti?
Snake Prairie.
Yeah.
It's my
yeah.
favorite.
Snake Prairie is ace. Oh, that's yeah.
I know it's going to be really hard for you.
Yeah, I'm.
Or at least give us a favorite one.
I'm just gonna comment on Skull Creek being the very first showdown map in the game. So yeah, good job. That's old school. So as for me, I would say there was this fantastic Brawl Ball map. What it was Sneaky something. Yeah, I just don't know who made the crazy call to take it out of the game.
See, he's buttering me up. I'm still including those outtakes, Antti. All right, so before we go, anything else that you guys would like to say or, shout out or anything?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to Mortius, the OG community map maker. Thousand Lakes is a perennial favorite. It's among many other great maps coming from that guy. Cheers, Mortius. I hope you're watching. I hope you never stop making maps for Brawl Stars.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, seeing a little glimpse inside the inner workings of where these maps come from. Again, thank you to Dani and Antti for coming on, taking up your time, and answering some questions. You guys let me know what you thought in the comments down below, but for now, that's going to wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, until next time, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.
Bye-bye.